Yeah. Let's start to phone. So for the six, okay, but first, uh, overview where Floralis Generica is located, who inspired Floralis Generica. Okay, so the flower have six petal, right? Yeah. So fifth petal will represent which part of the glove? Nice, beautiful, right? So, start for today, I would like to say let's talk about the first petal, the northern cities that are more populated, and the southern cities that are more populated in each in that petal. In order to have this idea of the petal, understanding the news and everything for that petal. Okay, let's do it. The idea of the podcast is that we do a review for this month, the news that we have in the internet and everything for each petal of the flower, you know? So, you need to have a political overview, a political and history overview, obviously based in this idea of to have a conscious understanding of the current situation of the globe and everything, but we need to go petal by petal daily, you know? No, 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 no. In each episode, we will talk about all the petals. We will review. And today, for example, the idea is to check the news and everything for the each petal. So, can you do a search of the information that we have on internet of the global news, the president, the politics for all the Floralis Generica? Okay. Can you assign a number of each petal? Yeah. So mhm. Pacific. I will call first Polynesia. The second one, New World. The three, Europe, Africa. Europe, Africa. The four could be Russia also. Russia, where do you put Russia? Yeah, but based, trying to remember that we talk about some longitude limits. So the idea is that we maintain that limit. Yeah, but the five in the north is Siberia and India. India, Siberia. Yeah, but trying to put focus in the ranges of longitude that we define it, which will be the cities for the petal number five. That petal was the number five. Okay, and petal number six. New Zealand also, I think that it's in this area. And Manila, Philippines is not is in the petal number 5, right? More close to India. Because you mentioned Jakarta also, but Jakarta also was in the other one. Maybe it's are in the limits of the ranges. Okay. And Tokyo? Okay. And in the petal 5, which big city is in the north? We can say that is not it's a not balanced petal. It's a lot of population in the south, but in the north it's almost empty. Perfect. Well, let's continue with the discussion about this Floralis Generica. The way to see the news. So let's check the main news for today of each petal based in the big cities that we discussed. Do a search and tell me which is what is happening in each petal. So now we are seeing there is a world war, about commercial war regarding the material supplies. The now China is saying, talking about the sulfuric acid that he will not provide into the rest of the world. So each petal or each region is trying to maintain the 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 supply of goods under control. But oil obviously is the main trigger of this, because they are seeing that the oil of Middle East is maintained or saved for a specific region, more for West side and America. And they are seeing China uh, and India having struggling with to have access to oil. So they are saying, okay, if you don't give us oil, we will keep us without acid, sulfuric acid for other countries. Let's talk about that. Yeah, that's something very concerning, because we are saying so much people, so much impact in the job of the people. We are having these new technologies for automatization, but also watching that the world go to a global, like a global system of everything that worked for a while, was like a bubble where everybody was shaping the war as one war. But then the war split it again, and that we are seeing right now, that each region is trying to maintain them resources and stuff, and this global sense of unity is missing. Are you there? Oh, I closed the chat. So let's talk about this kind of change of the war. Are you there? So we understand that America is the last continent habitable. So if we live here, we should be safe. But this is global stuff. Sometimes is struggling with our economies and the people living here. So we need to understand or reshape our way to live here in order to maintain or or way to live here. Uh, without to depend so much for other resources of other regions. That is the point. But understanding that in the future the other region will collapse first, and then we will live here longer than the rest, and we should have this kind of administration of resources and way to live here that is completely different. Yeah, you talk like you are in America. Yeah. So the case of Chile, which should live like before without so much connection with China and the Chinese productions. But it's difficult, because the people here love to have a car, access to everything. But now with the oil so expensive, the people need to start to reshape the way that they are living. And it's the same with the Cooper. Why a continent as America will destroy all the continent in order to send Cooper to China, to other petal? It's not so wise. But now we are seeing this crisis in the minerals due to the sulfuric acid uh, provider, and that is something that changed the way that we live here because the people get used to live as miners. But why we will continue doing holes in the land of America for Cooper? Maybe we should put focus in food. Yeah, that's a point. More food resilience and not dependent, I don't know. We should have wet here or not receive from other places more than focus in Cooper. And cars, why people need so much cars? Maybe we need to have access to healthy food and not so well. I think that was the 90s to the 2020. We are talking about 19, 20, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 30 years. That is stupidity. That the people was put in focus to live like the old war mean that the old war was dying. So was so much information, education about to be like Spain, like Europe, even if they are having struggles with their models more than us. So we were being like illusion of that places, understanding that that is not the right stuff. We should be more modeling our life as Americans as independent of that region, but it was part of the language, the conquest of Spanish that they manage, and they make us sense like kids, that we need to follow instructions. And now with the smart technologies and with the smart access to uh, intelligence, the people understand that we need to have more ideas of live longer, live well, have good access to water. So that is the point. But one time the bubble is broke, and now we are in that process right now. We are breaking these bubbles of information and lifestyle. Everything start to change, but immediately and in middle of these massive changes make that the people start to lose jobs and change the way of living for decades, and it's not easy. It's a crisis, identity crisis. But it's like a post true, post the people start to realize that we are from this continent, that we don't come from other continents, and the people that live here need to be proud to live here because we know that the crisis and the whole world will collapse first than America. That is a period fact, and it's not something that we can change. And that's for me is the philosophy about the Inca Empire and the connection with the Holy Roman Empire, the Catholic crowns in Europe when they conquest America. In order to say that we will collapse first, and we need to have your alliance with America in order to come here, migrate, and also provide some kind of support, emotional support, and also food support, water support for the people that want to continues living there. But we will see the collapse there. And now with the Iran war and everything that we're watching on news, we just say that will be the future. That will be the end of the war. Maybe they are acting first in order to put some news and not create the right collapse, but it show like a future, like a pattern of war, of water supply, about oil supply, about all war connection with Chile, with America, that in one point will break, because will be America trying to provide food and water to the rest of the world. We are just 1 billion and there will be 6 billion. Yeah. So we can obviously have some extraction of stuff, but need to be ways and trying to maintain here and not sent to other countries or other continents. Maybe just maintain, even if we are producing copper, the copper should stay in America, in the continent, not going to other continents, because we cannot leave the economy as a whole, because there is a unbalance society. 1 billion of people living in America versus 6 billion people approximately living in an old war, with all the concerns and all the problem of overpopulation that all war has, versus the 1 billion people that live in here. So if we see this as a concentration of salt in water, we live in a less unsaturated solution versus a very saturated solution that is in the old world. So that is the point. We should have migrations going from old war to new war, but everybody want to go to old war because the information, the technology make them look smarter, developed, and everything. Maybe it was a strategy, I'm not sure, but it's not a smart strategy. When we finish in this bubble of Trump and high information, we see is smarter live well in America. Yeah. And the point that cannot have this one global paper money because it's about food. Or food should. Why is possible that we have the same price of oil, not oil for vehicles, the oil for cook the same price globally. China and America have the same price. We are discussing so much about the oil for cars and calefacción, but we are not talking about the oil for cook. They are more people, we are less people. We should pay less, and we have production of oil, Brazil, Argentina. But if we make this process of to have all the food at the same price for one war, it's not it's not wise, and didn't ensure that the last continent, habitable America, can live better and can ensure life for longer time. But also it's a difficult decision for politicians say we should have our own economy for one continent and the rest of the world need to live in other parallel economy. So are two different realities that need to be created. But we have some American thinkers, economists that are talking about this, because if we give all the rights, all the the voice to all war, and they will say obviously that we need to create an average, a global economy. But there is some kind of American people that trying to push in another direction. Yeah, it's important. It's like well, I would like to also maybe, in order to continue with this discussion, move forward and understand the model of the self life cycle, you know, which are the stage of the life cycle of a cell. Yeah. Was G1, G2, M, and then so now we are in the moment of transformation, you know? Must be like a mitosis. We duplicated everything, everything come from America, the resources, the extraction, everything go to to other part of the globe. But now the globe need to split, you know. The old war and America must be a different cell, a differentiated place to live. And that is the model of the United States that we should apply to all the continent, you know. And then the rest of the continent must live in other parallel economy where we can trade maybe other stuff, but not essential stuff, water, oil, or food. Yeah, well, this is a topic that I want to continuous moving forward and continuous understanding the way the America need to split. Will be difficult. Maybe will be obviously we have the idea of protection of the rest of the world because they have so, I think that America has been so good and have so much colony of every places in America. So we are like the eternity land, you know, the last opportunity to maintain different culture, different lineages of people. But is the continent that need to ensure life here is better or is longer, we can develop ourselves and with a good mental health, with a healthy people, and we cannot continue buying medicines from Europe, from India, from China. We need to split that in order to understand that maybe that places will collapse in the future, or maybe not, but must be one way of commerce. We can help them, but we cannot depend on them to survive. Okay, let's do a summary of today podcast in order to understand what we talked today, what we discussed, the way that we are moving forward. Okay, thank you. I think I'm ready to wrap up and go to rest because it's late here. Thank you.